We welcome you back to another episode of Tornado Talk here on Monday night, February 9th. Thanks for joining us this evening as we're already kicking off a busy week of athletics. We'll talk about that in a moment. But excited athletic events live here on YouTube, free for your enjoyment. So thanks for tuning in tonight. And without further ado, we'll get into our corporate sponsors to thank for tonight's episode. Take a second to thank our All right, my apologies. We had some internet issues there. It looks like we're back on track here for tonight's episode. So we'll start by thanking our corporate sponsors this evening for tonight's edition of Tornado Talk. Bojangles, BSN Sports, Comporium, Earthling Coffee, Hampton by Hilton, Jets Pizza, UNC Health Party, Pepsi, Pinnacle Financial Partners, Platt, Prolific People, Suburban Propane, Subway, and Zaxby's. So apologies for the brief internet outage. It seems like I'm back online here. Hopefully that remains the case this evening as we get started talking a little bit about the week that was. Brevard men's basketball started the week at Greensboro and fell in overtime 96-90. Women's basketball went 3-0 this past week. Men's basketball also kicked off the weekend with a big home win over Methodist 85-74. On Saturday, a 3-0 week for women's basketball, going to Salem and taking down the Spirits before heading to Methodist on Saturday and getting the win. Also a rare Monday game this past afternoon at 2 o'clock. The women's basketball team took down Mary Baldwin in dominating fashion at the Bosch this Monday. That was a fun game this afternoon. Glad the ladies could get it done, improving to 17-4 on the season. And the focus of our show tonight will be the baseball team, who started 3-0 this weekend with 3 wins over Johnson & Wales, 17-8, 8-0, and 14-4 over the Johnson & Wales Wildcats. So that will bring in our first guest of the evening, head baseball coach Vinny Carone and assistant coach Cam Cook. Hey, guys, how you doing tonight?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for hopping on the show tonight, and congratulations on starting the season 3-0 with a series sweep over Johnson & Wales this weekend. Vinny, we'll start with you as the head man. What were some main takeaways from this series as a whole, where you guys really dominated from start to finish?
Yeah, I think the main takeaway for me is that we were, for the most part, unable to enact and do all the things that we've been working on for the last handful of months. We knew we would have to run the bases. We knew we'd have to get on base a lot. And we'd have to use our speed and athleticism to create pressure and open up some offensive opportunities for us at the plate. And I think we did a good job of that. And then on the other end of the ball, we have some experienced pitchers who got their opportunities this weekend, and they did what they were supposed to do. They threw a lot of strikes. I think around 65% strike percentage. And I think we look at a lot is 1-1 counts. And I think they won. Cam, you can correct me on this, but it was almost like 90% of the 1-1 counts, which is huge. It's better than we do in scrimmages at times. So for them to perform under pressure and under the bright lights and do the things that we've been working on and honing on for the last 5 months was very impressive to see, and just says that they're doing everything right to get themselves in the right headspace to be able to perform on the weekends.
Cam, for you, it was a bit of a rocky start in game one, a 7-run second inning for Johnson & Wales. But from that point on, especially on the first day, with that doubleheader you all held, Johnson & Wales scoreless for 11 of the 12 final innings. of that doubleheader with that performance from Matthew Evans and Kalen Milstead with 12 strikeouts. What impressed you about your staff's ability to shake off a bit of a rocky start and continue on that day and have a solid appearance?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with pitching is like you have your days and sometimes you don't. Thankfully, we had other guys ready to go. Big shout out to Birch coming in and doing a job. Rough start for him to come out and walk the first guy, but really locked back in and gave us 4 more innings of solid pitching on the mound. And then a little bit about Matt and Milstead. Like, I think what they did that game, like kind of like Minnie said, is just like they executed our game plan to perfection. Staying within themselves, pounding the strike zone, not trying to do too much in those key moments, but just trusting their stuff and going right after hitters. I think it's something that if we continue to do, it's going to be really tough for teams to beat us, because if we can't beat ourselves, it's like Coach Carone always says, like only BC baseball can beat BC baseball, and we play our best. So that's kind of where my thoughts were. I thought Jager came in for an inning and did really well too. Did exactly what we wanted him to do, come out and get 3 outs. And then just to touch on the game 3 too, Tootin and Andy Farringer both battling some sickness. I have to push back till Sunday. So excited to get them out there and get some work in. Obviously, when you're playing about 60% and you give us that, like we'll take that every day of the week.
Vinny, we talked about what you expected this team's identity to be, maybe a little bit different than last season, where you guys were more of a power hitting team. And that was shown this weekend. A lot of small ball, a lot of stolen bases, 16 stolen bases for your crew. But you also hit 3 home runs. Was there anything new you learned about this team's identity and what they can kind of be in 2026?
Yeah, I think they show that they can be a complete team too, and not just be one-dimensional, which you need that. And we've talked to them before about how our aggressiveness on the base paths will give us more fastballs and give us more pitches to hit, and that'll help us. I know at times last year we were pretty stagnant on the bases. I think we stole 40 bases all of last year. We stole 16 already this year in 3 games, so almost halfway to our total. Hoping we can get all the way to it by the end of the first week here. But when we provide that pressure on the bases, they get a lot more fastballs, and every hitter in the universe hits better when they're getting more fastballs. Last year we had pretty stagnant base paths, and you could throw curveballs and junk all you wanted at KO and Frank and Hato, and they had to battle that, and they were still successful in it. But I think it definitely helps our guys to know they're getting fastballs. And then situational hitting, which we harp on a lot too, scoring runners from second and third. I thought they did a really good job of that. Another stat we looked at today is we lead the country in sacrifice flies, which is something we practice almost every day when we're on the field. And I think that goes to show that we're not just doing one thing well. They did pretty much everything well. And the 3 home runs obviously are kind of the cherry on top for a lot of it. But we've seen all those guys who produced the home runs this weekend do it in the fall as well. So it was nice to see it also happen in the spring, even if they didn't hit like 10 to 12 in the fall. Just being able to do it occasionally makes that threat real and just gives pitchers so many fits with all the things they have to worry about and focus on.
Cam, we had talked about it previously, but you really didn't know much coming in this matchup with Johnson and Wales. You're kind of going in blind in terms of the personnel that your staff would be facing. What were some of the challenges that came with that, but how did you see your guys adjust in real time throughout that 3-game set to help them succeed over the weekend?
Yeah, I think it was a lot of like kind of figuring it out in their BP session in the morning. Me and Coach CP Pyle, we kind of hung around and watched their BP, took down some notes of how we attacked certain hitters. But I think we just kind of stayed true with our message of just pounding the strike zone. We pitched to the order. We filled it up and we said, hey, these guys are going to have to beat us by swinging the bat. And our guys are good enough that if that's the case, we're going to win that battle more times than not.
Freshmen were on full display this weekend with Bryson Jenwright leading off and Case Shanks having a good afternoon. Declan Duffy had his first career hit, and Mo Love Jr. That 3-run home run. Vinny, I mentioned to you yesterday, it did not seem like these guys were freshmen. They looked very poised and they looked very prominent in their debuts. How impressed were you with their ability to look like veterans in their first appearances in college?
Yeah, that's really hard to do. I think there's 2 things that I attribute it to. Is one, obviously they're a very poised group to begin with. We didn't see any of the freshman pitchers yet this weekend. A couple of them have had like little tweaks in their arm. So that pushed them back a little. And I don't know if we would have seen them anyway because we have those older guys. But they'll likely throw on Wednesday, and they have the same kind of poise and attitude. And I've been more impressed with the pitchers because it seems to show more, because you get bad calls, you get walked, you're out there by yourself a lot more. But the hitters showed the same thing and showcased that. So half of it's them, just that's their personality and that's who they are. But then the other half of it is, I think, how comfortable they feel with the older guys on the team. Logan Sawyer, G Money, Andy Farringer, just the captains to mention, but all the seniors across the board, Matt Evans, those older guys, like, they've made them feel very welcome and taking care of them. And they know that the seniors have their backs and the older guys have their backs. And it's not like they're stealing spots from them. They're in this together and they're a team. And I think when you have those guys behind you, you have those older guys supporting you, that makes it a lot easier to go play and be yourself. And anytime you have to kind of put yourself under a shell to protect your own personality from somebody else, you're never going to play as well either. So they've been able to completely be themselves. And I think that's part of the reason why they were able to perform at such a high level. And now the next challenge is doing it day in and day out. It's harder to do it for 40 games than just for one, but that'll be the next challenge. And I'm sure they'll be ready for it when it comes.
So the returners, as expected, delivered. Nico Bartolotti and Lucas Woodard combined for 16 RBI, getting guys in when they had the opportunity. Often you can come away from a game and say, man, we left too many guys on base. We didn't score guys when we had the opportunity, but that wasn't the case this weekend. You guys were really effective with runners in scoring position. Vinny, what did you think about your team's ability to get those guys in when you got them aboard and not leave too many opportunities out there on the base paths?
Yeah, obviously that's huge. You watch playoff baseball games, and sometimes teams are like 0 for 10, 0 for 11 with runners in scoring position. And a lot of sabermetricians will just say it's bad luck, but I think in reality, the better performers in that one-on-one battle between pitcher and hitter, like, they win those clutch moments more often than not. And I think Lucas, Nico, like, they were winning those battles, which is a testament to how good they are. But then I also felt that, like, during the course of the weekend, there were stretches where we left a lot of runners on base, actually. So I think the RBI totals in large part are just due to the fact that we were constantly getting people on base, stealing bases, getting them in scoring position, moving runners, which, again, we talk about all the time. All spring, we've talked about getting people to second base with nobody out, hitting behind the runner, trying to get him to third, and then scoring him with one out from third base. And they're very deliberate and methodical in their ability to do that. And the best teams that we've played against in the past, I think of Methodist off the top of my head. They just are so methodical about getting a guy on, get him to second base, get him to third with one out. And then you look up at the scoreboard, and, like, we didn't really allow a ton of base runners, but it's 4-0 already. And they got good pitching, and it feels suffocating. And I think we did a very good job of doing that this weekend. And the theme of the show so far has been just doing what we've been practicing and executing what we've been practicing. And they just did it at a high level. And it's up to them to do that. The coaches can only do so much. So it's really a tip of the cap to our guys in the lineup who are able to produce and do those things well.
Cam, I want to build on the point you made earlier. The bullpen was really impressive this weekend, delivered a lot of quality innings. On a day when a starter doesn't have their best stuff, moving forward, does this give them more confidence, knowing that they've got these strong arms behind them, especially on a day that maybe they won't have their best stuff, to kind of come in and put the hatchets down and keep the other team off the board?
Yeah, I think obviously you want to have confidence when you hand the ball off, no matter what the situation is, especially if the situation is bad. You want to have even more confidence in those guys, just as much as it is a win. But I think we have enough guys to do that. And it's kind of, like you said, it kind of rained true this weekend where we had a rough start and Birch was able to come in and pick up the slack a little bit. But I think it's not just a couple of guys. I think we have about 8 guys that are able to do that on any given day. And we're just kind of excited to get more guys out there and get them more experience. I think there's some young guys, like Coach said, some freshmen that haven't thrown yet that we're excited to get out there. I think they're going to be a big piece of what we do this year and for years to come. So, yeah, we're excited about it.
So won't harp on this one for too long, but looking forward to Guilford, a quality squad, finished 22-16 a season ago. What's it going to take to build on this momentum heading in the next week?
It's just continuing to do what we've been preaching. The opponent doesn't really matter. It's how we handle ourselves, how we handle our emotions, and then just executing the game plan that we've laid out for them. So it doesn't really change based on the opponents. We talk about it all the time. We look forward to playing good opponents because it's more of a true test of where you are. So I think our guys will look forward to the challenge and seeing if we can continue to execute at such a high level and enact our will and enact our game plan and how we want to play the game on another team. And it'll definitely be more challenging. Guilford is pretty talented, and I think they would in the USA South, they'd probably be a third place, fourth place caliber team, which is where we've been the last few years. So it'll be a good test for us and a real challenge to see if we're improved from last year, if we're a little below what we need to work on. So I think guys are looking forward to it, but we don't need to change anything. It's just continuing to do what we've been practicing since the fall.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining the show and good luck this week.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right,
Ryan.
see you guys. That is head coach Vinny Carone and assistant coach Cam Cook as the Tornadoes sweep Johnson Wales this weekend. Got Guilford on Wednesday before a 3-game set with Berea over the weekend. So now we'll welcome in our next guest to the show, pitcher Kalen Milstead, who had a great weekend out of the bullpen. Kalen, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining the show tonight, and congrats on a great appearance to open the 2026 season. Let's start here. Let's start basic. What was working for you on a day where you struck out 6 batters and only facing 8 on the day?
Man, it felt like everything was working, especially with that fastball dominance early in the count, really getting ahead of the batters. That helped me a lot. Established my curveball later in the count.
So Matthew Evans started the game with 4 1/3 innings of work, scoreless baseball. He also had 6 strikeouts. How did that kind of build your confidence coming into that appearance, knowing that Matthew had a great day and you were just going in to build on it?
Man, I mean, I feel like this whole team, we all build off each other, especially with how he pitched. I felt like I really built off that. I felt when I came in the game, I felt like there was a lot of high energy. Felt like a lot of people were really hyped and really like up and had a lot of energy at the point. So I think it just helped me carry my energy from in the bullpen to then in game.
So on that same note, the defense was really good throughout the weekend, making multiple plays in the infield and the outfield. How does that help you on the mound, knowing that you've got that defense working behind you?
Knowing that I can trust my field, it's really helpful because I might not be being able to produce what I need to that day, and I'm either leaving the ball over the plate a little bit too much or I'm leaving it out a little bit. And the fact that they can back me up, especially if there's a hard play and I know that I can trust them, it makes me feel a lot more confident.
So not knowing much about this Johnson and Wales team, how did you kind of use the games prior and being in the bullpen to kind of, learn a little bit about these guys at the plate? And how did you kind of use that in your outing to have the dominant outing that you had?
I talked with a couple of the guys before the game and just talking about how they swung the bat and if they had a long swing or if they had a short swing. I talked with Coach Cam Cook. He helped me a lot, especially with what we wanted to do and how we wanted to execute pitches, depending on the batter. And I feel like them helping me with that and telling me what I need to look out for, that really helped me a lot.
So looking at that 6th inning specifically, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you threw 11 pitches in that 6th inning, striking out the side?
I believe so, yes.
It was something crazy like that. I mean, you were really working well with freshman catcher Casey Shanks. To build on that, some of these freshmen, a new guy calling the signals behind the plate, how have you kind of molded with those guys, the newcomers coming in this season?
Man, they've been awesome. I really like our freshman class. I think we got a lot of surprises for a lot of people. I really enjoy having Casey back there. I think he's a very good catcher. I think he's very well at controlling the game. Especially helps because we're both from Georgia and we're around the same area, so we sort of had a little starter connection when he first got here, and that I feel like that really helped our relationship.
So you didn't appear in 2025. What did your off season look like this past year to get ready for a big 2026?
Yeah, so I was out with a UCL surgery, and this fall has been all about getting back up to 100%, and that being with lifts and being with throwing and being on the mound as much as I can, and just trying to get back to where I could be. And I feel like I did that pretty well.
So let's focus on you for a bit. When you're not on the diamond, who is Kalen Milstead off the field? What kind of hobbies do you have, and what do you do in your free time?
Well, I'm an exercise science major. I'm planning on adding a business minor. I really enjoy hanging out with my friends. I enjoy hanging out with my girlfriend. I really enjoy just playing other sports. I really like sport. I like a lot of sports. Most of the time I'm if it's warm, I'm usually outside. I'm playing pickleball. That's really fun. If not, then I'm usually inside. I'm playing video games with my friends.
So growing up and even now into college, who are some guys that you looked up to on the diamond, pitchers, position players, whatnot, that you kind of try to, mold your game after here in your college career?
When I was younger, Freddie Freeman, loved Freddie Freeman. He was very good. I loved him when he was at Atlanta. I'm a very big Braves fan. Even Tom Glavine. I really looked up to him a lot. I actually got to meet him when I was a little kid, and that really like made me a huge fan of him. And then I'd say Chris Sale right now. He's a very dominant lefty, and when I watch him, I get very excited because he's a very good pitcher, and it's really fun to watch someone that good.
So I know you've got some time left before you graduate. You mentioned your major and adding potentially another aspect to that. What do you hope to do with that degree once you graduate from Brevard? What are you hoping to do in your future?
I want to go get my doctorate in physical therapy and exercise science. I want to be a physical therapist. I especially want to work in sports. I really love sports, and I want to stay sort of in the like upper body area, like throwing and stuff, because with me being out from having UCL surgery, I feel like I've learned a lot through my rehab and process through that. And I feel like I can be very knowledgeable to people about it. And I feel like if I can help people come back from that, then that's gonna make me a better person.
So throughout the process of coming back from your injury, what are some personal goals that you might have set for yourself here entering the 2026 season?
A lot of my goals are mental goals. So my freshman season wasn't exactly what I wanted. So I definitely tried to change my mindset about how everything went. And I feel like the help with my coaches and the help with my teammates, my friends, I feel like that my mindset definitely was like my main focus and what I really wanted to achieve throughout the rehab process. And obviously from people that have been hurt, it's really hard to come back from an injury. But I feel like I did really well. I feel like I had a really good support program. I feel like all of my teammates and all of my coaches, they really helped me through it.
So going from being a sophomore last year to a junior now, you've kind of stepped in that upperclassman role. How have you kind of helped lead some of these younger guys in the bullpen and all the pitchers? How have you kind of helped with a leadership role here on this team?
Yeah, especially when it comes to our plays and stuff. I feel like some freshmen have some questions about that, and some sophomores, and I just feel like helping them just understand it a little bit better. Because I know me coming in freshman year, I was really confused. We didn't run that many plays in high school, and it really helps us when all of us can understand our one goal and what we really want to get out of it. And I feel like one of the biggest things that I've talked to them about is just go have fun. If you really just go have fun and you take the pressure off you, and you're gonna have butterflies. It's gonna be a hard thing to do, but I know their talent, and I know they're very good, and I know that they can perform.
So this is a question I ask every student athlete that joins the show. What does your pregame routine look like on a day that you know you're going to throw? From the time you get to the field to the time you take the mound, do you have any superstitions? Any music you like to listen to before you get going?
I wake up somewhat early. Usually, want to come in, get some rehab done, make sure I'm feeling 100% for that day. Usually my parents bring me Bojangles. They usually bring me a sweet tea, and I feel like having a sweet tea before a game is really nice. That definitely I feel like is one of my superstitions. I used to listen to music a lot. I feel like I still do sometimes, but any type of hard rock, I feel like that's my main music that I listen to before a game. And then coming onto the field and getting warmed up and stuff, I always try and keep my warm up short, but since being hurt, I've had to lengthen it a little bit. But I feel like that really gets me prepared for getting into the game and being able to play. And then when I get on the mound, I take a really deep breath and I focus myself on the catcher. And I just try and visualize it to where it's just me and him, and we're in a hallway, and it's just I'm throwing to him. That's it.
So lastly, I'm sure it felt long leading up to this season, but now that it's started, it's go time. I mean, you got a midweek this week, a 3-game series over the weekend, and that will kind of be the template moving forward throughout 2026. What are the keys to keep this momentum going that you guys built over the 3-game set with Johnson and Wales?
I feel like if we keep playing our game and we don't try and bulk up too much, and I feel like if we can stay within ourselves and we can keep doing what we're doing, which is our trying to get better every day mentality, and it's like climbing stairs basically. We want to try and be better every single day. And one of our captains, Adam Newcomb, he actually talks about our momentum and stuff, and our mindset going into games and stuff. It's really, we want to build on it every single time we step on that field from either practice or a game.
All right, Kalen. Well, thanks for joining tonight, and congratulations on a great opening this season.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, have a good night. That is pitcher Kalen Milstead. The lefty goes 2 2/3 out of the bullpen this weekend, struck out 6 in Brevard's win over Johnson and Wales. We'll have one more baseball athlete join us tonight. Going to be a bit of a shorter show. It's been a long day here on the campus of Brevard College. We had women's basketball earlier today, and the women take down Mary Baldwin here at home to improve to 17-4 on the season. That was a great game to be a part of. The women really got out to a bit of a slow start Monday at 2 o'clock, is kind of to be expected, but got it done in a big way. As we'll let our next guest get situated here and welcome him into the show. We've got Lucas Woodard to join the show this evening.
Yep.
Sorry, I lost you there for a second. How you doing, Lucas?
Good. How are you?
Good. What a great weekend it was for you this weekend in the 3-game sweep over Johnson and Wales. 6 hits and 8 at-bats, 4 going for extra bases, and 8 RBI. What was working so well for you at the plate to open the season?
I just stayed to my routines, got comfortable up there and just didn't try and go out of what I do as a hitter, and got up there and just was comfortable, stayed there, and ended up working out pretty well for me.
So you almost had 2 inside the park home runs. The first one was a triple and an error, but we'll count it for now. But the second one, that ball got off the base of the wall. I got to know what you were thinking going out of the box there once you hit that baseball. Were you thinking 4 all the way out of the box, and how did you use your speed to touch them all in that at bat?
Well, I thought I got under it enough to be a fly out, so I was, like every fly ball, just running it out, and I heard it drop and just started busting myself around the bases, and luckily enough was able to get to 4, but I'm not going to lie, I did not know I had that speed in me. So it's a pretty funny situation to think that my first college home run was an inside the park. So
obviously you've been tasked with a larger role here in your second season with the Tornadoes. Talk about how your off season went to get prepared, knowing that you'd be asked to take on a larger role here in your second year.
I think it went really well. I mean, part of my biggest improvements over the offseason, especially from last spring, was just like knowing I can do it and knowing I can fill that role. And it took a while, but now that I'm knowing I deserve to be here and every single chance I get, I've worked for, it's really paying off. And it's just a blessing to be in this situation and to learn from the guys from last year, to utilize their knowledge to where I am now. So I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I worked really hard to get to where I am. So I'm just glad to be here now. So
I mentioned this a couple of times tonight, but we'll get your perspective from inside the box. This is a team that you didn't really have much intel on. Usually you have at least a little bit of a scout on the arms that'll be throwing to you. What was the process for you to get acclimated with these arms when you really didn't know too much about them going in?
I mean, just kind of took it like every single week in practice, treated it like a normal week through what we've been doing for the last fall and even in the preseason, where at least we knew what guys we were facing, but it wasn't like a big task of, going out there and being worried about what we're going to see, just staying comfortable and confident in what we do. And it paid off a lot. I think every single one of our hitters did that. And that's a big reason of why we succeeded so well this weekend.
So it was a little bit of a chilly weekend, but you were home at the Gill, and you will be home for a lot of this non-conference schedule Talk about a little bit about that atmosphere and how it can kind of propel you guys forward to a good start here in 2026.
The Gill's a great place to play. I love being at home, and it's fun there because we've been acclimated to this very cold and windy climate, and so some teams that they come here and they're not used to it. So it's definitely a little bit of a struggle for them. But obviously, it was not the most ideal to be playing in that situation or in that weather early on in the preseason. But I think we're a lot better off now that we've got acclimated to that, and hopefully we'll be ready for Kentucky in the next couple weekends. So
this team seems to have a lot of speed. This weekend was a showcase of that, 16 stolen bases. You only had 40 last year, so you're already almost halfway there through one weekend of play. How does that added aspect to this team help you guys in 2026? Because I know that wasn't as much of the identity in 2025. How does the newly acquired speed kind of help you guys here in 2026?
I think it's another way to put pressure on the other team, and putting pressure on the defense through the base paths it's a big factor of winning. And we had a lot of power last year, but couldn't put as much pressure on the base path. So when we got guys on last year, it just seemed like we needed that big hit to score them. And this year, if we're able to bring guys into scoring position, we have our lineup that Vinny was able to put together to where guys can succeed in different aspects of the game, where guys know how to hit a ball oppo to score a runner from second or hit a sac fly. Just being able to piece together a lineup based off of speed and technique and what we're all really good at, it's really helping us succeed so far.
So through the first weekend of the season, the talent is evident here in 2026. What are some goals you all have as a team here in 2026, and what are some personal goals that you have this year?
I think the team's goals are just stay consistent. Every single day, go out there, give 100%, and work as hard as we can. And I know if we do everything right, we will win a lot of ball games. And that's the same thing personally. I think just consistency is key, especially in this sport. There's so many ups and downs. Just mentally staying consistent and giving everything we have every single day is going to be a big factor in our success for this season.
So focusing on you for a minute, coming from Largo, Florida, what drew you to Brevard when you were looking at potential spots for college baseball?
I just loved the climate up here. Love the mountains, and I love Florida, but it was a little too hot for me at the time. And I'm grateful to be here. Grateful that Coach Vinny was able to get me on campus and help me learn a lot about myself and just the team. And I was really, really glad to come here and learn a lot from the seniors last year. So I'm able to play this year. So really grateful for it.
So when you're not playing baseball, who is Lucas Woodard off the field? What are you doing in your free time?
Oh, I love going outside, especially up here, going on hikes, going fishing, back home fishing. And when it's the off season, obviously a couple rounds of golf won't hurt, but it's definitely fun just being outside. I love everything outside. So
I know you've got a good chunk of your college career remaining, but what kind of degree are you pursuing here at Brevard, and what do you kind of have your sights on to do and work after college?
I'm pursuing an exercise science degree, and I want to go into physical therapy, preferably sports physical therapy. I originally was thinking about sports biomechanics, but just kind of switched and realized that physical therapy was probably a lot more stable and had a higher job demand. And also in sports physical therapy, I'd be able to work on some patients through their biomechanics and help them succeed and develop mechanics and just help them become more optimal of a player. So I just love doing sports rehab, coaching players, and I think it's something I really enjoy. So I might as well just turn it into a career.
So I'll circle back to baseball for a moment. Looking up and down this lineup, there's not really an easy out 1 through 9. What kind of confidence does that give you as a hitter, knowing that if you don't get the job done, somebody behind you is going to do it?
Oh, it's great because when you're calm and confident up at the plate, you seem to do a lot better. And even though it's frustrating when you can't get a job done, knowing that the guy behind you has your back it's a pretty big factor of winning. And from my experience, whenever you have a lineup like that, you tend to do pretty good. So as long as we can just stay consistent with that, I think we'll be pretty good.
So lastly, a common question on this show, I just asked Kalen, what does your game day routine look like from the time you get to the field to the time you step on or step in the batter's box? What does that day lead up look like for you? Do you have any specific superstitions or any music you like to listen to get you going?
I mean, I usually try and get up, an hour and a half before we have to be on the field, get some breakfast, before I leave the room, read a chapter of the Bible, and then start my day. Look out the window for a little bit, just embrace the beautiful nature around me, the blessing of a day, and then go out there and have some fun with the guys, because that's all we're doing with baseball is just, it's another sport to have fun. And once I really embrace that, I go out to the field and just start my pregame stretch, BP, and then go get some food, then come back and take the fields down and get ready to play. And it's really fun just being around the guys a lot. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity here. And just the group of guys we had this year is very special. We're very close. So it's fun always being around them.
All right, Lucas. Well, thank you so much for joining the show tonight. And congratulations on a great weekend.
Thank you so much.
All right, have a good night.
You too.
That is Lucas Woodard of the baseball team. A great weekend for him, 6 for 8 with 8 RBI and 4 extra base hits to open the season 3-0 against Johnson & Wales. That will end our show tonight. We're going to do a quick one this evening, but thank you guys for joining so much. We'll preview the week ahead. We've got, as I mentioned, baseball on Wednesday, 2 p.m. against Guilford at home. That will be streamed live on YouTube, and then 3-game set with Berea on Saturday and Sunday. And also men's lacrosse kicks off its season at 3 o'clock on Sunday against Centenary. So it should be a great week ahead. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. This one's been a lot of fun to recap the baseball 3-game sweep over Johnson & Wales. Until next time, we'll talk to you on Wednesday at 2 p.m. at Gilcone Field. Ryan Wilkes signing off live here on Tornado Talk.